From the Renaissance period to the Baroque in 1600, the emphasis of math and music grew astronomically. Math has always been a part of music, but during this period, music started to be quantified in mathematical terms, and note values were now measured in fractions. The largest main note value was the whole note, followed by the half note, the quarter note, the eighth note, and so on, each sustaining just as long as its name implies. But not only is the note length important, so is the grouping of notes. For instance, if I were to take the quarter note and put 4 of them in a measure, I would have 4 fourths. Put that fraction and those notes on a staff, and suddenly that 4/4 becomes a time signature. Now take a look at this. These numbers weren't added until much later in history, but it will help us understand a little bit about how meter works. This 120 is a metronome marking, a number which tells us that we're going to count this at 120 beats per minute, and this quarter note is the unit beat. Those two markings put together help us know how to count this measure, like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the note values in 4/4 don't have to be quarter notes. They can be any combination of note values, but we still count it according to the quarter note. Let's take a look at a different time signature. What do you notice? 6/8 makes sense because there are indeed 6/8 notes in the measure. But look at this. Notice that the dotted quarter is the unit beat, not the eighth note. That means that we don't count 6 beats in the measure, but rather 2 beats. That's because the dotted quarter is the unit beat. Well, that's strange, you might think. Doesn't 6/8 imply that the eighth note is the unit beat? Well, let's think about it. How would you write a meter for 2 dotted quarter notes? Would you call it 2 4.5? No, that's not right. 6/8 is really the only way to write it. Look at the measure again. There's something peculiar about 6/8. See that the eighth notes are in groups of 3, not 2s or 4s. When we divide the unit beat into groups of 2 or 4, like in 4/4, we get what we call simple time. But when we divide the unit beat into 3s, we get what we call compound meter.